Hello, everyone. Happy New Year. I hope everyone is doing really well. Today is going to be a little bit different. Instead of chatting about a topic that would be useful for everyone, that everyone's kind of voted on, we're going to talk about custody evaluations. We've been getting a lot of questions around custody evaluations and what to do with those. I think a lot of you have heard me say that 85 to 90% of judges and magistrates will go along with whatever the custody evaluator recommends. So for some people, the basic question is, well, what is a custody evaluation? Why does it matter that much? So the custody evaluation is something that can take place a few different ways. It usually takes place with the help of they use someone in the psychology profession, a mental health professional will come in and spend quite a bit of time with you, several different sessions that are usually more than an hour long. They might even be several hours long. They'll spend time with your co-parent. They will do home visit. They'll do psychological testing. There'll be an intake questionnaire. They will call and talk to the witnesses, the names and contacts that you provide. And it's usually a mental health professional that will do that. Now, that might be a PsyD or other type of psychologist. It could also be an LCSW, a type of social worker, or anyone along those lines. It is possible that the GAL, the guardian ad litem, will do an evaluation. It's possible that a retired judge will end up doing your evaluation, and it's possible that a parenting time expediter could possibly do your evaluation. So there's a lot of different ways that it comes in. So another question that I got was about, well, when does this usually happen? It can vary. For the most part, an evaluation is given a little bit later in a custody battle. And what I mean by that is it's not the first thing that most custody cases start with. Okay, so that's the good news, is you have some time to kind of get the lay of the land and then get into it. But a custody evaluation is most likely to take place when it's clear that you and your co-parent are not going to be able to come to an agreement on your own. Now, you might argue, well, that's why we're in court, because we can't come to an agreement on our own. But what ends up happening is that the court tries to help you come to an agreement, either through court-ordered mediation, or through trying to do things at court appearances, encouraging you to meet and have some sort of arbitration or anything, maybe even just letters through your lawyers to try to come to some kind of an agreement. So if that's not happening, then you go into an evaluation. An evaluation can also be called when there are allegations of abuse or neglect or any other kind of serious allegation. So they'll want to get an evaluator in there to find out what the real story is. Now, why wouldn't a judge just find out all of this on the stand? Well, the evaluator is going to spend a lot more time with you than there would be on the stand. Even if your trial is lasting 3 days, and you've got 4 to 6 hours each day. There's so many breaks and everything in between. There's long lunches. It really doesn't amount to 3 days of trial. Sounds like, 3 times 8, 24 hours. And it's just not. It's really a lot less time. The evaluator is going to spend much more time and is also going to be calling witnesses and saving them the effort of having to come in and testify for the most part. So another question that I got here was, what is it that you tell the evaluator? So when you're talking to the evaluator, you want to tell them what you feel is relevant. Okay, so that's part of what I do when I'm working with clients, is to help them prepare for what to say and what to bring into the evaluator. It's always going to be the truth. It's always going to be your story. But it's easy, just as if you're going in for a job interview, as an example, it's easy to go in and just not really say exactly what it was that you meant to say, not really say what you need to say to them, what is relevant to them. So what I work on with people is, okay, let's figure out everything that you've got and let's figure out what it is that the evaluator really does want to hear, what it is that they really need in order to determine what's best for your children. So that's really what you want to go in with. You've got your evidence, you've got everything in place, right? For people who work with me, either in my program or individually, you know how to gather that evidence. You know what evidence is relevant and it's going to work for you, and what evidence is actually going to work against you, right? So you're going to take that relevant evidence, and that's what you're going to bring into the evaluator. And you want to show the evaluator all of the stuff that's relevant and none of the stuff that is not relevant. Okay, so that's going to be a big part of what you're talking about. They're going to ask you about your background. They're going to ask you about your relationships. They're going to ask you about a bunch of things in your life, and you just talk truthfully about that. But when it comes to that evidence, man, you really need to be prepared for that. You really need to go in and have things ready to discuss and to defend around that. Okay. So those were the basic questions that I got. If there are any other questions that people have, you can just pop them into comments, and I will get in there, take a look at the questions that you've got and answer those. Otherwise, just let me know what you want to hear about in future Facebook Lives. We do have some good topics coming up. For next week, we're going to talk about coercive control. But I want to hear about other things that you have questions about and that you want to learn more about in preparation for your custody case. Okay? And if you want to know a lot more about how to prepare for your custody case, take a look at the link in my profile and follow that to get a full-on webinar to learn a lot more that will help you in your custody case. All right? Okay, great. Take care, everyone. Keep your head up. You've got this.